If you have already been on a viewing trip to France, but you didn't find your dream home, what we're going to talk through now is just for you. I'm going to take you through what you need to do to unlock the value of what you learned, but maybe didn't realise you had during your failed viewing trip. I've done this and I've helped lots of other people one-on-one do this. You can do it too. Let's talk about the trip. One of these things probably happened, maybe more than one. You might have relied on one or two agents to set up the viewings. Maybe you sent them some bullets of what you were looking for, but when you got to the viewings, the properties were nothing like what you wanted and it felt like a total waste of time. Maybe you were super organised, researched driving times to maximise the most number of viewings you could get in, but you ended up spreading yourself too thin. You spent your whole time driving and all the driving times took longer than expected on the smaller rural roads. It was stressful, maybe you had to cancel some viewings last minute even, and the ones you did make felt really rushed. Maybe you were looking for a peaceful private retreat in the countryside. You found some, the houses were exactly what you were looking for, but all of them were 45 minutes from the nearest anything and it felt really isolated. Maybe there was even still a close neighbour. And that's really not what you wanted at all. There are lots more reasons why that we could go through, but what do you do about it? It might feel like you've wasted your time, but I believe it's only a waste of time if you let it be. Let's find out what you learned. For me personally, I find this works best if you write down the answers. If you want to use my template, you can download it for free from FrenchPropertyFocus.com. Let's start with location. If you hated the location of everywhere you saw, then you still learned something, I promise. Write down exactly why and think about specifics. Was it too isolated? Write it down. And then on the other side, we're going to write down a positive that would fix that. So in this case, we could say maybe being 10 minutes drive from a town with facilities would become a new search criteria. Maybe you drove through a town you really liked. If you didn't write down the name or take a photo, you might still be able to find it on Google Maps if you remember where you started and finished that day and you look along the route. If you've got the name, write it down. It can become one of your new specific search criteria. If you're looking at the map now, what was it about the town that you liked? Do you see that there are particular types of shops or facilities that attracted you? Was it the style of the properties in that town in particular? Write it down. It's some new specific search criteria, and you're going to find other towns that have a similar feel or have similar facilities, and they can also be included in your search. What about the houses themselves? Hopefully you took lots of photos and haven't deleted them yet. Look through them now. Why did you take the photos that you took? Usually it's something you really liked or something you really didn't like. Be really specific, but write it down. If it's something you didn't like, do the same as before and think about what the solution could be to make it something you would like. They all become new specific search criteria. Was everything too small? Or maybe even the properties were way bigger than you needed? Go back to the listings of the properties you visited and look at the metre squared. If they were all too big and all the listings you saw were 250 metres squared or more, maybe you have a new search criteria of 150 metres squared. This all might sound really obvious and simplistic, but if you do this exercise and you write everything down, you will end up with some really specific search criteria that's going to help you find your dream home in France. If you want to know more about how to search successfully for your dream home, I've got an online course that covers all aspects of your search and gives you all the tools that you need. Go from confusion to confidence and learn all the strategies you need to search for your dream home in France. Thanks for listening.